I'll be honest, I don't know how this happened. I was browsing the What's New section on the Sephora site, and I haven't really been keeping track of new makeup launches, new trends, and certainly not sale dates. And it happened to be the start of the Sephora VIB sale, and I just don't know how this happened, but I'm glad it did, because here's the thing. Some of these things took me by surprise. There are some winners, there are some losers, and some of my favorite brands kinda let me down. So let's get into it. The Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Beautifying Face Palette has 2 satiny matte blushes, 2 highlight shades, a nice big mirror in here, and packaging that just, I envision this being on like my grandma's vanity. It just gives old world, vintage Hollywood luxury vibes to it, I think, with this opalescent and gilded packaging. Absolutely beautiful, but when I took a little peek in the reviews for this product, they're kinda not flattering. I mean, no pigmentation, total flop, not pigmented, disappointing, massive disappointment, tragically lacking pigment, luster, and payoff. Hello, Charlotte. Where is the blush pigment? I mean, you want to talk about brutal? I was worried that with so many of the negative reviews consistently mentioning the pigment, especially for the fair medium or the light medium palette, which is the one I thought would be the best fit for my skin tone, I was a little worried this was not going to be worth the price tag. But I am pretty pleased to say that I think it proves the negative reviews wrong. I actually really like the consistency of these. I think the blushes themselves are nice and smooth. They're not too powdery or dry, and I think they're plenty pigmented. I don't know, maybe it's me and my skin type, but I just really find them to be nice. The highlights, they're not overdone. They're very natural looking, very, very glowy, and they're just milled so finely. So they look just like a glazed donut, like you have a little bit of a glowy ganache to your skin. I've been baking a lot, and so I think I have food on the brain. Moving on. Nars Rising Star Cheek Palette, however, I have less than a glowing review for. So this I got because it's been a long time since I had a blush palette like this with a really wide variety of shades. That's what drew me towards this. Unfortunately, while the shades are super pigmented, especially when you get in these really bright and rich shades over here, I found the texture to be pretty dry. So as I got more into those pigmented shades, it became patchy on my skin, and that could be a result of my skincare. Again, all these products might work differently for everyone depending on what you prefer and what your skincare and skin is like in general. For me, this was kind of a dry, patchy mess. That feels harsh, but it's true. I also got some pocket-sized palettes. I don't know what it is about petite palettes to me. They are just so small and sleek. They just scream like, let's go somewhere. I have nowhere to go, but when I do, I guess I will be prepared. These are from Melt Cosmetics. They are part of the Bad Side Zodiac collection, and I got the water palette. I'll be honest, this was a hard one for me to justify in retrospect because I don't really wear blues or teals. I don't find them to be complementary to my undertones, especially now that I have red hair. So I literally think I am the exact person they were marketing to. I bought it because I'm a water sign. I'm a Pisces. And the thing is, I don't even know about the zodiac. I don't particularly care. And yet somehow I saw the shades Ugly Crying and Dead Inside and was like, sign me up. Then the other one that I got is the one I'm actually wearing today. It is the Earth color palette. And this one, this is, anything called Earth, I think I always know that I'm going to gravitate towards those tones. And it's true. This is like a warm autumn hug, like a scarecrow's just bringing you in for a close one, or like what daylight savings apology would look like if it cared. The shadows in both of these are gorgeous. I mean, I really like Melt Cosmetics shadow formulations, and these are no different. They're smooth, there's a variety of textures in each of these, mattes, shimmers, even a little duochrome action in the shade Know-It-All in the Earth palette, which you know I am all about, and if you don't, you will soon see from the other palettes in this video. But I really like that these are both cohesive palettes that offer a wide variety of shades and textures, and again, they're tiny. They're so tiny. I love them. I really like these. Huda Beauty has a new palette out called the Empowered palette, and I don't know what drew me to this palette, because online and even in person, these colors are beautiful, but they feel very done, right? Bronzy, warm taupe, gold, and purple. Seen it, right? We've seen that before. Love it, but we've seen it. But she did it. She really did it. So what's different about this palette is that there are two cream shades in here. There is Purpose and Worthy. They are great to use as like a colorful base underneath these shades, which is awesome because a lot of these shades are kind of glittery, chunky, they're meant to be textured shades. And so giving them something to adhere to and something that is a rich, colorful base to adhere to really just helps them transform that much more. It makes the palette very versatile, in my opinion. Then there is the shade called Manifest It. And this is a weird one. I've not watched any of the marketing information on like any of the promo materials on this. So I don't know what the shade is supposed to be or do, but I'll tell you what it does for me. It is like a foiled eyeshadow that you don't have to wet down to get that high shine metallic effect. I think it's just so good, like to the point where she could remake all of the existing palettes, because I love the color palettes in those eyeshadow palettes. She could remake them and do similar things, like give me that foiled shade, give me some colorful bases, and I would rebuy them. It's that good. The Pat McGrath Mothership Moonlit Seduction palette, though, I have different thoughts on this one. This one took me by surprise. So I am a diehard Pat McGrath fan, specifically a Mothership palette fan. I just think they are brilliant. I love how, again, you know me, I love a variety of textures, especially when they are shifty, multi-chromatic, sparkly, glittery. Give them all to me, especially when you mix them in with these super buttery and pigmented matte shades. But I do feel like there are very similar shades in her other Mothership palettes, especially when it comes to these blushy, rosy mattes, and even some of the sort of special shades that are typically always these 4 shades over here. Please do not come for me for saying this. This is not my favorite Mothership palette. I do love it. I love it dearly. I think it's going to create beautiful, beautiful looks. But it's definitely not my favorite of the things that I bought, and not of all of the Mothership palettes. Moving on. So this really became the palette to beat for me. Not just of those that I have tried recently or of those that I have purchased here, but like literally of all time. Of all time. It's a big deal. The Danessa Myricks Lightwork Volume 4 Transcendence palette is bananas. Bananas. Danessa is known, beyond great skin. If you don't follow her on Instagram, every single one of her models, she just does this really beautiful, flawless glowy skin. But besides that, multi-chromatic shadows, pressed shadows, foiled shadows, liquid cream, you name it, she does it, and she does it well. And this palette like distills all of what I think she does really well with colorful shadows into one succinct palette. And she mixes 4 different kinds of textures when doing so. There are velvet chromes, 8 velvet chromes, 2 glass metallic shades, 2 pressed chrome flakes, and then 2 aqua chromes, which are basically hard pressed powders like a cake makeup that you mix a liquid with, water, or your mixing medium of choice, and that activates the product to give you like a highly foiled look, or helps you apply it with a liner, or just work in great detail elsewhere around your face. I think this is just totally brilliant. The mixing of 4 radically different textures in one palette is so genius. It is so genius, and I think maybe that is why the Pat McGrath didn't do it as much for me, because yes, Pat makes unbelievably lovely multi-chromatic and textured shadows, but these are very complex. They are very interesting. They're all in one place, and I really, really love them. Now, the one thing that I think I really would like to see is what if this was done in a more, wearable sort of color palette? What if you had a bunch of like super ethereal taupes and golds and whites, frosty, that shifted with the multichromatic shade? I think that could be really interesting, and doing that in these gorgeous textured, like the pressed chrome flakes and the aqua chromes, divine. Absolutely divine. I would love to see that. But in the meantime, I am very pleased with this as well. I would love to hear what you guys have been trying lately. Is it makeup? Is it something else entirely? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.